Welcome to the Transform Your Wealth and Health podcast, where experts in wealth, health, and fitness help transform your life. Here's your host, Andy Arter.
She was an international cricketer, winning 2 World Cups, and is a public speaker and freelance commentator too on the BBC and Sky. It's Ebony-Jewel Rainford-Brent. Hi, Ebony.
Hello, how are you?
I'm absolutely fantastic. Now, you were just telling me a little while ago you won 2 World Cups, and I thought, wow, that's absolutely fantastic. I had no idea. I'm underprepared. I do apologise. First World
Don't worry,
Cup
I'm going to give you grief for that.
Oh, please don't. You're the first World Cup winner that we've had on the show. So what's it like being a first?
Oh, I don't know. I'll take that. I don't mind doing that. But no, it's always good, isn't it? Nice to just reflect on nice parts of your career. You know, it was a few years ago. It was 2009 when we won the 50 over World Cup and T20 World Cup, which for cricket fans, they'll know what I mean. For people who aren't, don't worry about the details. But yeah, no, it's been, a great journey. I mean, with sport, it's one of those things. I spent nearly 20 years playing of my life, and you put in all that effort. And yeah, it's really nice to get those big things. But I think more importantly is just enjoying playing the sport all those years. So yeah, no, really nice to get that recognition. A lot of people do put in all those hours and don't get that chance to celebrate those moments. So no, really nice to have achieved that.
So how did you get into cricket in the first place?
Yeah, a bit of luck actually. I grew up in Herne Hill, which is South London, so any Londoners around. And my family weren't really into cricket, to be honest. We were all football crazy. But when I was about 10, someone came into my primary school and just kind of tried to get people playing. I was one of the few girls, actually, it was mainly the boys playing, and I got talent scouted. That was it. Once I got roped in, I was invited to a few things, and then Junior Surrey by 12, and then Junior England by 14. So you kind of get into this whole system and pipeline, really, which happens to a lot of kids. You kind of just get sucked into the vacuum of whatever you're into. So that was it. Once I got that talent scout, really, it changed the course of my life.
And what county did you play for? Do they do county cricket for ladies exactly the same as the guys?
Yeah, Surrey. So Oval Cricket Ground, which is in the Oval Kennington Way, South London. That was my hub. So I played for Surrey for, like I say, 20 years, and now I'm still there at the club director of women's cricket and on the board as well. So it's kind of been like part of my life, really, to be part of that club.
Wow, you've been very successful. Now, the other thing that you do, which I've got to mention, is you do podcasting too. And you've had an incredible amount of success with that also, haven't you?
I have. It's been brilliant. I started it just over a year ago, mainly because I love broadcasting. I love meeting new people. I love personal development, really talking about, how people improve and grow. And it's been epic. I think I kicked off with Alastair Campbell as the first episode. I've had world-class athletes from Chris Akabusi, Alison Felix, who some might not know, but she's the world's most medalled athlete at the moment, more medals than Usain Bolt.
I listened to that one. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, incredible. Yeah. I've listened to a lot. I'm a big fan. fan.
Have you? You've churned through them, have you? Good work on you. Good work. And yeah, I've just had so many good people on the podcast. I love personal growth, personal development, and it was just something I wanted to start. So anyone who wants to tune in, make sure you check it out. But it is so many inspirational conversations, lots of bit of wisdom to take away. So I love podcasting. It's great fun being able to just meet and talk to new people.
Well, we'll put the show of yours in the show notes, so if anyone wants to click on it and have a look. And like you say, you've got some absolutely fantastic guests on there. Rob Moore as well, who we both know.
Yeah, he's Mr. Podcast Man. He's obviously property guru, entrepreneur, author. He's just kind of done it all. And there's a bit of luck, actually. I think that's one thing I love about social media is that I didn't know him before this whole process, but someone tweeted him saying, I would love to hear you on Ebony's podcast, on my podcast. And we kind of connected, got talking, and it turned out he was a big cricket fan, which helps that I played cricket. So once we got chatting, I got up there, and now we kind of talk quite regularly. Been up to some of his things. Hopefully going to play some golf as well, which I love and he loves too. But a lovely man. And when I say to you, one of the smartest guys I've ever met, if you haven't read his book, Life Leverage, it's a game changer for a lot of people. So I'll definitely tune into him. But what a great podcast as well. So nice guy.
Yep, he's good all round. Yeah, always good value, Rob.
He is.
What's your main priorities in life nowadays after the cricket?
Yeah, good question. A mixture of things, really. I guess and I do look at life as well in two ways in terms of health and wealth. Health, I think, is important to try and keep the body in the best shape as possible. And what I mean by that is I used to be obsessed about weight and things like that, which, is great when you trained. I'm not that elite athlete anymore. But I'm very focused on making sure that my health's in good order. So I just came back from my chiropractor. I have so many injuries and operations and things I've gone through in the past. So I have to keep the body ticking as much as I can. And from a wealth perspective, I think it's really just leveraging my career as much as possible and trying to make sure I funnel that into my investments behind the scenes, really. So, I see myself in some ways. I missed out on a lucrative early career because I was playing in a sport which was not professional and then semi-professional partway through my career. So whereas some of my friends had gone into the city and making loads of money, I was on the breadline as such, but playing my sport. What I've been lucky, I suppose, is that more recently, or as my career has developed, it kind of gives you that opportunity. So I've now come out and I've got a number of different careers going on. I've been running my own business for 5 years, and so I'm playing catch up in some ways of trying to make sure that I get that wealth thing in order. But that's quite important as well. And then wrapping all that around, I think, is just having fun in life. Lots of friends, lots of family. I do a lot of bucket list things. So I'm off to Europe in a couple of weeks for about a month as well to tour around it. So I think it's a mixture of looking at your health, looking at your wealth, and then just having fun along the way.
Brilliant. Okay, well, that encapsulates the show, really. We're trying to get people to move from their point A to their point B. We've got some people that are listening that are very wealthy.
Any investing support tips, feel free to give me some.
I'll get them to write in because we all need them. Don't be worried about that. But likewise, people like yourself, elite athletes too. So any tips and tricks for us mere mortals who are not World Cup winners to try and keep fit?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think bite-sized chunks, and I know that you might have had Marvin Ambrosius, who's a fitness guy. But what I like about now, I don't play sport at the high level. You realise how busy life can get to get things in. I have to break things down into such small chunks. So my stretching routine, just to keep my back going, because I had a really bad prolapse disc. I think I've broken it down into 5-minute chunks, which I can just take little sections off and do, or a bit of aerobic stuff or cardio, maybe just 20 minutes here or there. So I think the key thing for me, especially being busy, is just to try and, like, in your diary at the start of the week, just plot out a couple of sections which you're not going to give away if something more important comes up or work comes up or something like that. Just making sure that there's maybe 3 key slots. And then if you have, I think most people, as we start to get older, have a sort of sore point, whether it's a dodgy back or a dodgy hip or, whatever it is. So make sure that you do something on that every day, and then have 2 or 3 times a week where you just go a little bit harder. So I think the hardest thing with fitness is just carving out the time. It was easy when I was an athlete because I didn't have to think about it. I had a trainer there every day who told you to bend, jump, sprint, whatever it was. But now in the real world, and you get busy, I think it's just about carving out the time and then making sure you do it.
There's some good tips there for people, yeah. So anything you change along the way?
In terms of in fitness or life? Or
yeah, the whole thing, really. I mean, it's like you have a separate life sometimes from when you go to work and you think, I wish I'd have took that opportunity work-wise. And that always impacts on your day-to-day life as well. It's also sometimes, things that you missed out family-wise. I mean, you being an athlete, things like having kids and all that might have been inopportune. So, anything you wanted to change?
I don't know if it's changed, because that, I mean, we all know this, isn't it? Life is about sacrifices. So, in one sense, say if I said, I wish if I was home a little bit more, during my early 20s or something like that, then I wouldn't have seen the world in the way I have. So I don't really do regrets in that sort of way. I think the only thing I've done in my life that I look back and I think, did that really have an impact, was university for me. And that's maybe because of the route I've gone down. I did chemistry. I did a master's in chemistry at UCL. And I look and reflect and I thought, I haven't really used it. I wasn't that fussed about doing it as well. Great to have achieved it, but I didn't necessarily use it. Was it the smartest use of time and money investment? I don't know. But other than that, I think generally in life, if you listen to any of my podcasts as well, you'll hear my mindset is very much about, everything's about learning and challenging. One thing I do well, I think, is I spend a lot of time thinking forward to try and avoid the mistakes. So actually, just before you called, I was just doing one of my sort of sit down and think, right, 10 years now, if I do these things, how are these going to impact all my areas of life? I try to just do that as a check so that I don't get to 10 years down the line and have regrets. And then things that we've all made mistakes or we've all done things, but I don't tend to look at them as sort of regrets. I look at them as just a bit of learning to reshuffle the pack and think forward a bit more.
Do you do journaling or diarise in any way?
Yeah, very much. I do a daily journal, which has a couple of key questions. So one is just about sort of brain dump. How do you feel? Anyone, that could be great. You had a good sleep, to whatever. It could be anything. But then I have a couple of areas in my life. So I have my wealth. I look at my health. I look at, areas that I need to improve around personal relationships. I have like a couple of buzz questions, and I'll just go through daily. It only takes about 5 to 10 minutes over a cup of tea, which I love tea. So
let us into your world a little bit, Ebony. What sort of buzz questions do you have?
Okay, so I'll just go through it in detail quickly.
Yeah,
I've got 4 quotes which kind of always make me think. So the first quote is, time is the most valuable coin in your life. You and you alone determine how that coin will be spent. Careful that you don't let other people spend it for you. So I think that's always just a reminder I think time's the most valuable thing we have. I know we've talked, health is mostly the first, then time.
Yeah.
And then we can create wealth and all the other things if we use it wisely. So it's just making sure that I'm in control of my time. The next thing I have is it's the mind that translates the outer experiences into happiness or suffering. And that basically is a reminder that the same thing that happens, and a bit like I just talked about regrets there, we can look at the same situation and see it as a positive or a negative, and it's our brain that does the work in between. So it's just to kind of remind myself. And then after that, my questions go, what are my key goals and priorities? So one will be about maximizing career opportunities. One will be about my bucket list. I have anyone who wants to go onto my website, I have an extensive bucket list, which I am 27 out of 85 things. I think that's where I last am.
Wow.
Hence why I'm going to Europe for so long. Then I've got I grade the different areas of my life. So my career, how am I managing my money and investments, how I'm managing my health. This all sounds a bit Rain Man crazy, but trust me, it keeps me on track.
What's your website, by the way?
My name, Ebony-Jewel Rainford-Brent.com.
Okay.
So feel free to check that out. And then I also just towards the end have a gratefulness, just remind myself what I'm happy about and how lucky we are. Because sometimes, we talk about wealth and it's great building the investments and increasing opportunities, but sometimes we forget that we just live in a wealthy country and that we're pretty lucky as we are. So I think that reminds me just to be grateful. I was born in a first world country.
Yep. I always say about that on the podcast, must bore the people to tears. But yeah, we've sort of about moving from our point A to point B. And I was off of Tottenham's largest council estate. We had a lot of violence, a lot of problems in the area. Still have. Tottenham's got a part of it that is in the top 5 most underprivileged parts of the UK. And exactly as you said, I've said it before, we were in relative poverty at the time. And it is all relative, because when you put it up against people in other countries, we're having a cushy time. So all has to be thought of in that way. But even so, a lot of that comes back to the same thing, which I'm getting all the time from people that are elite athletes and also the people that are incredibly wealthy that come on the show, is that the mindset of everybody. So if you're in that position, you're thinking, woe is me, aren't I poor? But flip it, let's put you in another country elsewhere and you'd be incredibly rich, by their standards perhaps. So that part of it is left in your mind. It's an indelible part. If you can get it out of your mind and start getting more and more positive, and this is what the elite people tell us about, you're in control of your mind. You get what you want out of things sometimes, so you have to make the most of it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm just listening. I'm just agreeing with you. Yeah, no, I like that. So the one other thing, if I was talking about, because I relate in the sense that, I grew up pretty poor, in the sense that my mum, single parent, 4 children, and, struggle South London type stuff. And, a lot of people have been through that. But I do think that a couple of things I would say is learning to manage what you have, even when you don't on paper have very much, is just one of the best skills you have, because as you then expand and you get more, you're in a better position to manage. And I think when things have gone well, I'm on top of things and I'm managing whatever I have in front of me. When your mindset's a little bit loose and you're not as on it and you're not as switched on, you lose control of these things. So anyone starting, whether you're starting from scratch or whatever, I would say is whatever you have, be grateful for it at that moment, manage it as well as you can, and it will expand from there.
So how did you get into the broadcasting, Ebony?
That was pure luck, actually, in the sense that, well, I say luck and not luck, because 18 years of playing cricket, it was luck in the sense that when I finished playing, I got a call from a BBC producer, Adam Mountford, and he just gave me a call straight away and said, finished your career, would you like to give it a go? And I said, yes, of course, I'd love to. So that was a bit of luck. I think the interesting moments, which I always look back on in life, I'm big on building relationships and getting to know people and being interested in people. And a few years before I'd finished playing, I had started doing some interviews as a player, sometimes the players do. And I was always open to just say, yeah, no worries, put me forward. I don't mind meeting different people. And Alison Mitchell, who is a lead broadcaster, she's a journalist, she's sort of won Sports Journalist of the Year awards and stuff like that. I remember spending some time with her as she was covering one of our games, and we did a bit of coverage. And I think those small moments of, you meet somebody, you're giving of your time, build good relationships, they come back down the line to help you. So what I was really lucky is that during my career, I'd met a lot of these people. I didn't realize at the time, how valuable those relationships would be. But when you finish and you get a phone call, in some ways it's luck, but in other ways it's also you've made the small actions along the way that have led to opportunity. So I've been really fortunate like that. And once I got into broadcasting and was given that opportunity, I've been fortunate enough to run away with it, really. And I started women's cricket, it's moved on to men's cricket, and now I've sort of gone around the globe, done test matches, ODIs all around most test playing countries, actually. So I've done a fair bit of traveling with it and enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, you have, haven't you? Yeah. And your show, by the way, come on, let's do a bit of bragging here. How many downloads have you had for your show?
Yeah, a lot. I'm over 7 million total downloads, which is crazy. But I would balance that with the 80-20 rule.
Pareto's law.
Yeah, Pareto's law.
Yeah.
Is that I've had a couple of episodes which have gone crazy. One of them was Alice and Felix. And then I would say the rest are very solid and in the thousands of downloads. But I've had one go crazy, and that was due to timing of doing the podcast with her when she became the world's most decorated athlete of all time on track and field. So between that and Google putting it on the top, it got crazy listens, and people have really listened. So yeah, at the moment I'm in the millions, which is great. For that particular episode in particular as well, has gone crazy. But overall, I think it's sort of a growth experience. I can't wait to see how over the next couple of years, as you start to do more and get more people in, I don't know how far it can go, but I've been really happy with the results so far.
I'm not surprised. She seemed like such a nice lady as well.
She was. I mean, she was much more reserved. She wasn't, you've got, I've interviewed someone like a Chris Akabusi, who is very loud and lovely as well with that. Yeah. Richard Osman, who's a presenter on TV for Pointless, and he's also a creative director for a lot of the TV shows we watch. But you interview the sort of more lively people, but she was very calm, very thoughtful, took her time with it. It was hard for me, who's quite an extrovert, to slow down and then listen, but some of the insights she gave were just unbelievable. So she was great, and I've got a few more guests that coming up which I think will be pretty epic, but I'm going to keep those under wraps until then.
Come on, Ebony, give us a clue then.
Yeah, I might have you on soon, Andy, when we're doing that show.
I'll be starstruck. What can I do? Can I be up there with all these other stars? What can I do?
Hey, you're going to be my number one.
Thank you. You're too kind. So just getting towards the end of the show now, Ebony. I thought it's gone quick, hasn't it? Crikey.
It has.
Well, this is it. I'm a talker all day long, same as yourself. Not quite as high profile as you, but even so.
Talking's talking.
I try. How can people best contact you if they'd like to keep in touch?
Yeah, I'm on pretty much every social platform, from Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, on my website. If you just Google my name, the easiest thing is mostly just to do my surname, Rainford-Brent. But I'm pretty much everywhere. Facebook, I've got a Facebook page. So anyone who wants to get in touch, any questions, any thoughts, just do it, because I'm pretty good. If I'm in a crazy period, I might take my time to get back. But generally, if I can, I'm always engaging on social, because that's what it's about, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, listen, thanks very much for doing the show. You've been absolutely brilliant, and I wish you well for the future.
Thanks, Andy. No problems. See you soon.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that episode, and until next time, start transforming your wealth and health now.